Alrighty, so since now I've talked about all the teams that's going to be involving in the CONCACAF Champions Cup and do a season preview for them, it's now to talk about the remaining team in MLS that is not going to be in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and we're going to go alphabetical order, starting with Atlanta United. So obviously, last season for Atlanta, it felt like at time there's that saying that unfortunately I'm pretty sure Atlanta fans don't kind of want to hear it because it feels like it's more of a jinx rather than actually feeling proud that they are truly back. And of course, that of course is Atlanta is back because there were times where there's flashes of their attack just as good as what we see with the Tata Martino's teams. But unfortunately, as we saw last season, the biggest issue for this Atlanta team is obviously their defense. And it feels like this offseason, they definitely patched that up and also filling a big need in terms of the defensive midfield spot, which was also a very underrated kind of spot that I'm pretty sure not a lot of people talk about. That was a big spot that Atlanta United needed this off season. With that being said, in terms of last season, they finished with 13, 12, and 9 record and finished with 51 points. Their last playoff appearance is last year, but if you can believe, they have not won a playoff round since 2019. So, after 2019, when they lost in that Eastern Conference final to Toronto FC, and that's kind of where it's kind of started to become the beginning of the end for this Atlanta team in terms of their early dominance in MLS. They've only made the playoffs twice, and both times they lost in the first round. In 2021, they lost to NYCFC, and then in 2023, yes, they did win a game against Columbus in game two. But this is talk about playoff round wins, not actually winning a game in the playoffs. And they didn't win that playoff round against the Columbus Crew, even though that was a very entertaining playoff round. Easily, probably one of the best, if not the best, best of three series we've seen in the first round of the playoffs. And then, of course, all Atlanta fans know that they, of course, won their only MLS Cup in 2018, and that's kind of where they want to get back to. They want to get back to that Atlanta United kind of team, a team that not only is a pioneer in terms of this MLS 3.0 kind of mindset and developing young talent and sell them all for big amount of money. They also want to taste some silverware in that. Again, it's been a while since they have won a silverware. 2019 was the last time they won some silverware in the Campeones Cup. Now, in terms of some of the signings that they have, again, being Atlanta, they definitely did some signings this offseason. They're always busy in the transfer market. Obviously, they're one of their biggest name that they got, and I'm gonna absolutely butcher this because it's a Polish name, but I'll promise I'll get better in terms of pronouncing his name. I think it's Burchers Slits. Again, I might have just completely butchered it. I apologize for that. But then you got Stian Gregerson that they got from Bordeaux, and he's going to be definitely a replacement for Miles Robinson that they lost this offseason. And then, of course, a very underrated signing, but a signing that can really bring some leadership to this Atlanta United team is Dax McCarty. He really reminds me a lot of Jeff Larentowicz, not just because of the fact that they have the ginger hair, but it's just the fact that both of those guys provide some good leadership to the team. And if you look at that Atlanta team, as good as they are on the attacking end, they have some good leadership skill within their team. And Larentowicz was definitely at the center of that, and bring Dax McCarty, knowing that it feels like he's an ageless wonder. He's been around in the league for a very long time, and even though I know his career has started to wind down, and Father Time is still catch up to him, what is not in replace well is the leadership that he's going to bring to this team, both on the pitch and also in the locker room. They also got some depth in the defense in bringing Derek Williams from DC United, and then in the draft, they got Javier Armes and Jaden Hayward, and then they made John De Silva signing a permanent deal. He really impressed last season when he came to Atlanta on a loan transfer, so they decided to make him a permanent deal. And they also got a new goalkeeper, and this might be the goalkeeper of the future for Atlanta United, as Brad Guzan, as the way that it feels like this could potentially be his last season in his long and luxurious professional career. It seems like Josh Cohen is the next in line in terms of taking that spot taking that number one spot away from Brad Guzan on this Atlanta United team. Now, in terms of the player that is no longer with this team, I want to mention Garrison Tubbs' name on the list first because, as I mentioned before in a News of the Week episode during this off season, this is one of the craziest things we have seen in terms of what a team can do to a homegrown player. And I to this day I still feel really bad for Garrison Tubbs because this is a guy that he's a homegrown for Atlanta United, got a professional contract, and then literally a week later, Atlanta basically said, "Yep, sorry, we don't want you anymore," and he got transferred to DC United. Like that has to be heartbreaking if you're a player that you get a chance to play against, or you get a chance to play for your home boyhood club, and then your boyhood club basically said that, yep, you're not good enough. We're just gonna transfer you to somewhere else. So it's gonna be interesting that if he does get his chance with DC United, I guarantee you that when he does face against Atlanta United, he's gonna have some vendetta against the team that decided to move him on literally a week after they signed him on a homegrown deal. They also let go of Franco Ibarra, but obviously the biggest transfer that is no longer on this team is Miles Robinson. This was a big decision that they had to make this offseason. Are they going to sign Miles Robinson to a new contract and hope that he have a bounce back year, or do they let him go to another MLS team? And looks like they chose the latter option. And FC Cincinnati basically won the sweepstake of getting Miles Robinson, and probably one of the biggest names in this free agency market this offseason. They also let go of Jackson Conway, Santiago Sosa, Aiden McFadden, Mateus Rosetta, Masaic, Eric Lopez, Machu Cho, Justin Grace, Clement Diop, and also Ozzy Alonso, who of course just retired this off season, and I actually did a career video of Ozzy Alonso. See, I actually did live to my promise, even though there's many times I've said that I want to do a career video of a certain player, and I didn't get a chance to do so. But I already did a career video of Ozzy Alonso, and I want you guys to definitely check out after watching this video. That is because Ozzy Alonso's career in MLS is definitely one of the more interesting and probably one of the most interesting career you ever see a professional soccer player has ever go through. Now, in terms of their preseason schedule, so they already played 2 games so far in the preseason. They got a 2-1 win against Birmingham Legion before drawing 1-1 against Memphis 901 yesterday at the time of this recording. But then on the 7th, they're going to be playing against CF Montreal before they're going to be playing against Tampa Bay Rowdies, and they wrapped up the preseason by playing against Sporting KC on February 17th. Now, looking at the first 10 games of the season, so like I said in the season preview of the Columbus Crew, uh, Atlanta is going to be playing against Columbus on the road, and they definitely have a tough schedule to start off. Like their first 3 games are against really good opponent, but I also said in that Columbus Crew season preview that if there is a game that I'm going to be circling on the calendar, at least of the opening weekend, it's got to be this game. I mean, this is going to be a mouth-watering matchup. Don't be surprised. There's going to be some not only goals that's being scored, but just some crazy things that can happen again in that game. I mean, I really enjoyed the best of 3 series in that first round, and I even said that it sucks the fact that in how good both team was in that best of 3 series, somebody had to lose, and unfortunately, Atlanta United got on the wrong stick of that. But after that, they play against New England, and this is actually going to be 15 days after they play against Columbus. So they actually are not going to be playing in match week number 2. They get the bye week sweepstake, as we're still in 29 teams right now. Every single week, you're going to have a team that is going to be the only team to not play in the match week, and again, Atlanta will be that only team in the second match week. So they have a bit of a break before they play against New England. Then they face against their arch nemesis Orlando City at home before they go on the road to play against Toronto. Then they play at home against the Chicago Fire before the schedule gets a little tougher again. Then playing against NYCFC on the road. Then playing against Philadelphia Union. And then after that, they play against FC Cincinnati. Then they play Chicago again on the road. So they play the Chicago Fire very early and finish this series very early in the season. And then, of course, on May 4th, they're going to be playing against Minnesota United, also known as the Expansion Derby from 2017. But in terms of the Post Leagues Cup, they're going to be playing against the Galaxy on the road before they're going to go on the road to play against Charlotte FC. Then they got Nashville on September 4th, so they play a couple of Southeastern team doing that stretch. In fact, let's keep that going by them playing against for Miami on September 18 before they go on the road to play against the Red Bulls. And then they play against the Philadelphia Union this time on the road before they finish up the season playing at home against Montreal, playing at home against the Red Bulls. And then they go on the road to play against Orlando City one more time on decision day. So yeah, interesting kind of ending of a schedule for Atlanta. I mean, I think when you look at both sides of the bracket, they definitely have their fair share of tough games, but they also have some fair share of easy games to finish up the season and the post Leagues Cup kind of schedule. Now, in terms of the strength of this team, it's got to be the attack. I mean, as long as they have Thiago Almada still on this team, and if Yakimakis can continue to score those goals and look like the perfect Joseph Martinez replacement that they got, this team is going to be really good on the attacking end. And again, that chemistry between Yakimakis and Almada, it really reminds me of the Almiron and Joseph Martinez kind of chemistry. And this is also where there's times where we said feels like this Atlanta United team is back. It feels like they're back to their best and ready to complete or compete. That is, I don't know why I said complete there, but anyway, in terms of the weakness, I still think it's the defense. Yes, I know they definitely got some pieces to help the defense. Obviously, they got a number 6 to hope that they can protect the back line, and not to mention also signing a new center back in Steven Gregerson, which I'm gonna be a little bit cautiously optimistic about him. I mean, yes, I know he came from Bordeaux, but again, the thing is that he was part of that Bordeaux team that was really, really, really bad. Like the hit was, it was part of a back line that gave up like 90 plus goals. That season. So to get a guy that was a huge liability to that Bordeaux team, I mean, I don't know if that's a perfect fix to try to replace Miles Robinson. And don't get me wrong, Miles Robinson didn't had a good season last year, but even then, that's still a big shoe to fill. Consider Robinson has been with this team for a very long time and is one of the last pieces on this Atlanta United team that was part of the 2018 MLS Cup champion team. So yeah, I think the defense is still going to be an issue with this team, and that as long as some of their new signings will hit, then maybe they'll turn out to be well. If not, then that's going to be an area that they're going to have to really focus on because they know that the attack is going to be good, but the defense is the thing that might hold them back, and maybe even goalkeeping too, because we'll see whether if they're gonna go with Guzan or Kohan. I would say just go with Josh Kohan. I know you want to put Guzan in there, and this might be his last hurrah, but I just feel like after the season he had last year, where you can clearly see Brad Guzan has felt a step off to a point where it just feels like he's kind of approaching that Tim Howard kind of form back in 2018. And let's just say that when Tim Howard was still the goalkeeper of the Colorado Rapids in 2018, he was very bad. Like he was at a rate where everybody was basically calling him washed up, and that it feels like we're getting close to that point with Brad Guzan, especially with some of the goals that he conceded. That just you just don't see it as starting caliber of a goalkeeper concede those kind of goals. Now, in terms of expectation, there's no doubt that they want to win a playoff game and go on a deep playoff run. I mean, there's always high expectation with Atlanta United. This is a team that always have that expectation that they want to compete for MLS Cup, and this season is no exception to that. In fact, I would say that this could be the best Atlanta team that we might seen since 2018. And I also like to apologize to Atlanta United fans for saying that because I said the same thing with the New York Red Bulls last season, and it did not go so well. But I will say that to my defense, when you look at this Atlanta team, I mean, again, I see some similarity to the Atlanta teams that Tata Martino used to coach. They have a good number 9 in Yakimakis. That's like Joseph Martinez. They have a Miguel Almiron type of player that is Thiago Almada, as long as of course they keep him. That is, and then they also have some leadership skill in Dax McCarty that is reminiscent to Jeff Lorenovitz, and as long as their defense is all set, this team can definitely be a force in the Eastern Conference. But that being said, as I said many times before, and I'll say this again, with all these teams competing in the Eastern Conference, the East is going to be a bloodbath. It's not going to be easy for Atlanta United to solidify themselves as the class of the Eastern Conference. But when you just look at the roster that they have, and if every piece is able to perform, just like what we saw last season, especially on the attack, this team is going to be a force in the Eastern Conference and will definitely bring back their identity of their early days in MLS. And we can finally truly say, without jinxing it, Atlanta is truly back. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at Atlanta United in this season preview. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video. And if you're an Atlanta United fan, what do you think is the strength, the weakness, and the expectation for this team heading into this season? But till then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.